Hi everyone, hope you're okay. Today we're going to look at simplifying algebra, and this is the introduction. So this will go through what algebra is and how we simplify it. So before we can simplify, we need to first understand what algebra is. So algebra is just used to represent unknown numbers. So when we have an expression or equation, but we don't know what number it is that we're going to use, we use algebra, so we'll use a letter to represent the number that we don't know. And simplifying doesn't change the expression that we have. So when we simplify something, our answer, our simplified answer, should mean the same thing as what we started with. And when we simplify, our answer should work for every number. So we can't simplify and get something that only works with a positive number. It has to work for every number. So that's what we're going to look at now. So to make that simpler, let's think about real numbers. So let's consider 2. If we had 2 plus 2 plus 2 plus 2. If we think about our 2 times table, to work out the next number, we add 2 each time. So if we're doing 2 plus 2, we'd get 4, plus 2, we'd get 6, and then 8, which is the same as doing 2 times 4. Or 4 times 2. So they are the same thing. So that is something that we can generalize to algebra. So in the same way, if we had a plus a plus a plus a, that would be the same as doing 4 times a. And a represents any number. So regardless of whether a is minus 10 or 1,000, if we add the number to itself 4 times, we'd get the same answer as we would if we did 4 times that number. And in algebra, we don't use the multiplication sign. Instead, we would write that as 4a. So when we see 4a, we know that means 4 times the number. Our next one, let's look at multiplication. So again, let's consider 2 times 2 times 2 times 2. An easier way of saying that would be 2 to the power of 4. And that can be generalized to any number. So when we multiply a number by itself 4 times, a represents any number that we don't know. It's the same as doing that number to the power of 4. So that is how we simplify with multiplication and addition. So the next thing to think about is this one here. We have 3a plus a squared. So that's 3 times a number plus the number times by itself. Is that the same as 4a? Or is it the same as 6a? Or is it 4a squared? There's a lot of things that people might think this is. So let's think about all of these possibilities. So let's say we think it's 4a. The best way for us to figure out if any of these answers are correct is to substitute in a value for a. So like we said, a just represents a number that we don't know. To figure out if any of these are correct, let's consider a value for a. So I'm going to choose a equals 2. And like we said, if my answer is correct, what I simplify to should give me the same answer as the original, because they should be the same thing, just written in a simpler way. So 3 times a is 3 times 2. And we add that to a squared, which is 2 squared. So that is 6 plus 4, using BIDMaths, which is 10. So 10 is the answer to the original thing that we started with. So now let's think about these ones. So 4 times a, again, we're going to use a equals 2, and we want to see if we get the same answer. If we don't, it means we've simplified it incorrectly. So 4 times a means 4 times 2, which gives us 8. So that does not give us the same thing, so I know something is wrong there. The next one, we have 6a, which is 6 times 2, which is 12. So again, I don't get the same answer, so that can't be the same thing. And the last one we have is 4 times a squared. So again, we need to consider BIDMaths. So this is 4 times 2 squared. So we do the 2 squared first, which is 4, and then we multiply that by 4, which is 16. And none of these give us the same answer. Now maybe you tried a different number, so if you tried a equals 3, for example, it will work for some numbers, but like we said, when we simplify, it needs to work for all numbers. So because it doesn't work for 2, we can't simplify this expression here to any of these here. That leads us to our final point. So when we're simplifying, and you'll see this on our next video when we're simplifying more complicated expressions, we can't put together A terms. So term just means one of the items that we have in the expression. So we can't put together A with A squared because they're not the same thing. Which is why you may have heard simplifying being called collecting like terms, because we can only simplify when the things that we're putting together are like terms or mean the same thing. Which brings us to our final point. We have 2 different types of terms here. So we have 3 times A plus A squared. Before, when we had A plus A plus A, we could just put that together and say that that is the same as 4 times A. And again with the multiplication, but here we have 2 different types of terms. So we've got 3 times A and A squared. They don't have the same value. Let's say again, A is 2. A squared is not 2. A squared would be 4. So that means that these 2 are not the same thing. A and A squared are not the same thing. Which means we can't group them together and just say we have 4 lots of A, because we don't have 4 lots of A. We have 3 lots of A and we have A squared. So from this we can conclude that this one cannot be simplified. In our next video we're going to be looking at more complicated simplifications, so taking it a step further when we've got 2 different terms. So when we've got A's and B's and seeing how that affects our simplification process. Like this video if you found it helpful, and subscribe if you'd like to see more videos like this one. Feel free to send requests in the comments, and if you have any questions, feel free to email me with the email address in the description box. Thank you, and I'll see you next time.